After observing players in Helldivers for over a year now, I truly think that Helldivers 2 is going to be one of the most studied video games once people catch on to it. And so I'm going to explain how I'm coming to that conclusion. There's been a couple video games that have had some really big studies done on them that have been really important. EVE Online comes to mind, where people were studying the in-game economy and how people are creating this economy in a video game. World of Warcraft is probably the most famous one, where they had the famous Blood Plague incident. Heck, even Elden Ring has been studied for the get good memes and how it impacts people and the community as a whole. And I think Helldivers is deserving of at least a little bit of studies for a few different reasons. The number one thing I want them to look at is the reward system and how the players are making choices that don't make any quote logical sense for most gamers. In most games, people do things for some sort of reward, whether that be bragging rights, whether that be better gear, whether that be a costume, a title, something that shows off that, hey, I did this thing and here's the reward I get for it. And if those rewards aren't good enough, people typically get very vocal about said rewards. I'm going to reference World of Warcraft again because they have a big patch coming out here soon that introduces a new game mode that has some pretty lackluster rewards according to the community, a title and a mount, and that's about it. And if you've spent any time on video game forums, you know that that video game forum is on fire right now with people complaining about it, and that's kind of par for the norm. When someone's unsatisfied with it, especially with rewards for challenges, they let you know how upset they are and how big of a ripoff it is, how big of a waste of time it is, how they're not going to do it, how they're going to unsubscribe, all those sort of things. Everyone knows gamers tend to be a little whiny. But then you look at Helldivers and you see that they give you, quote, rewards that aren't tangible. They're not bragging rights. You can't do anything with it. It doesn't impact the game. In fact, there are some rewards that actively make the game harder, and yet the community begs for it and goes for it. Last year, we had the situation where we saved the children's hospital at the cost of more armaments. We literally nerfed our characters and got less powerful gear in order to get a drawing from some children we saved at the hospital. Children who were sick and probably going to pass away anyways in the game lore. There were missions where we were going to fail because not enough people were playing, and they literally came out and said, okay, but if you win this mission, then in character, we'll let you have these forms that let your character procreate. And it's not like you don't get a cutscene. There's nothing gross. It was literally just, hey, we'll say that your character can now do this if you win this mission. And we saw a huge surge in numbers, and we overtook that mission because of it. There are players who bring the one true flag, a flag that literally does nothing, onto level 10 missions. It nerfs you. You have less armaments. You are less strong. You are more in danger, and yet they bring it for the memes. And it's because I think these people are so like enthralled with like the lore and role playing that they just get into and like, yeah, I'm going to do this hard thing simply for being able to say, yes, I saved my goldfish. Yes, we saved the children. And those rewards, again, they're not tangible. It doesn't impact you. In fact, in many ways, like I said, it makes your character weaker. And yet Helldivers are motivated by this. And if we applied that to the real world, like that is every business owner's dream, right? To find a way to motivate your employees without having any sort of cost, without having to pay any money, without having to give any benefits, but to motivate people to do it. That's something that needs to be studied. The something that needs to be studied, number 2. We need to talk about review bombing. Now, of course, this is nothing that's special to Helldivers in that a lot of games have suffered from review bombing, but Helldivers has had like these huge constant review bombs every time anything goes wrong, whether it be an error, a new bug, any sort of thing. A bunch of people run to the computer and review bomb the game. Now, this started because of the big Sony incident, and it became such a meme that they even talked about getting like a cape in-game for it, but we never got that. And a lot of people would say that the review bomb didn't really work. Like, the game is still not accessible for a lot of people in a lot of different countries. But people still feel like it was effective, and now every single time there's a thing that they don't like, they run and review bomb the game. I think this is probably the 4th round of review bombing that Helldivers has suffered through. Granted, it's not as big as the Sony incident, but it does keep happening. So much so that like gaming journalists have been reporting on this every time that it happens. Like, this is the game in the news for, oh, what a surprise, Helldivers is getting review bombed again. What triggered them this time? The third thing I'd like to have them like take a look at, like if researchers were tearing apart the game and looking at like how the community interacts with each other and interacts with the game and what we can learn from it, I think one of the most interesting things they could look at as like a third option is the meta, the most effective tactics available. If you've played any sort of online game before, you've probably heard the phrase that humans will optimize the fun out of anything. This is definitely prevalent in games like Dota and League of Legends. I know I've referenced it before, but World of Warcraft, you have people who treat raiding like a full-time real job and treat it like a job. Like, no, you're not here to have fun, you're here to do a job in a video game. And while there definitely is a meta in Helldivers, and I've talked about it before, the community kind of generally agrees that it doesn't matter what the meta is, go out and have fun. And the fact that there's a lot of Helldivers who have 500, 1,000, 2,000 hours in the game and they're still having fun with it with not effective tools, but rather with just like, I'm going to do this meme build, or again, I'm going to bring the flag and some turrets and see what happens. It's really interesting to see that they haven't optimized the fun out of the game yet. Now granted, this is partially due to Arrowhead continually updating and changing the game, showing us what a live service game can be, with the big patch that changed the way all the guns work, with the recent patch that brought the Illuminate in force with new enemies, with the Predator strain. Like, they have done a great job of shaking it up and continually adding to the game, but still there's a lot of people who by now should be feeling like there's nothing left for me to learn, there's no more challenge in the game, I've done everything, and yet here a lot of people still are, doing memes, running for the fun of it, trying challenges, doing all sorts of things that aren't really optimal. One of the big podcasts for the game ran a challenge where, okay, can we beat the game in just the starter gear? There was no benefit for that. There was no reward for that. It was just, hey, let's try something not optimal and just have fun with it. And people loved it. Meanwhile, if you try something like that in League of Legends, you'll end up with death threats. And I'm saying that from experience, where you try something new in a match and say, hey, I'm going to do something kind of unheard of or unorthodox. I'm going to try a different strategy. And people will literally try and get you banned and send you threats because how dare you interrupt the game and not do the meta. You're doing something that's not the most optimal thing in a video game, and now you must be punished for it. Helldivers just has a really interesting community that I feel like there's a lot that we could learn from the way that they interact with the game and the media and all the different people. Now granted, there is a dark side to the community like every game. I've talked about before that I don't really enjoy the Discord because there's a lot of rude people in there and there will always be that guy in every community. But as a whole, seeing the way they band together with memes, the way that they get so like into the role play, how they just like to have fun with it, it really is a truly unique community. And you do see that with other games. World of Warcraft at one point had a very unique community. Final Fantasy still has a very unique community. Games like Cozy Gaming, Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing all have very unique communities as well. So it was really interesting to see the Helldivers kind of niche out their own unique community built on memes and roleplay and just the fun with the game and the lore and what we have. It's really cool to see like the General Brash memes, for example, because we saw this happen in real time, like with the Ukraine war, where the Ghost of Kiev was this big lore coming about, like these legends and heroes coming out of the war, and people are doing that and making those heroes and legends and stories and tall tales in the lore itself in real time. That's really fascinating to me. I think, again, there's something that we could benefit from learning why that's happening and kind of the psychology behind it. Anyways, that's my yapping for the day. If there's anything that you think it would be unique to study that I haven't brought up here, put it down in the comments down below. As always, I appreciate the community. I appreciate the chance to talk with you all. Have a blessed day.